So, because there are many languages that we are speaking, and we have decided to speak in English. If there's anybody that wants translation in Swedish or other language, just let us know. Okay, we begin. We are very curious to know what your view is. What do you think about film creation, making film in Balkans as women or participating in film?
Good evening. Making film anywhere in the world is not very easy, and one who wants to do that has to have some skills and big will and wish to do that. And in Balkan, everything is even worse. And being a woman in such a primer, environment is something that make a situation to be really special. So there is few of women producers in Serbia. And most of them too, I mean there is two women in fact, they are married to directors, and they studied film production on Belgrade Drama Art Faculty, and they are really great. They are doing that wonderfully. And the difference between their film production and other film production of male producers in Serbia is that they are doing that like that way how normal people could think that it has to be. And it's pretty strange that very successful male producers are always on the edge of some delinquency. So women are not like that. My father and my grandfather, they were a lawyer, and it is very strange that in all countries and in all times, women used to be much less in all sorts of criminal much less violent than men. And one of theories says this is because we are weak, physically weak, and we can't be violent. But when you are stealing money, you don't have to be very, with muscles. And I think that it is something, maybe it is social formation which always wanted girls to be nice and polite and to tell the truth and to behave themselves good. And if this is something bad for us, I think it is something good for film production, because if producers would steal less money for production, films are going to be better.
Okay. I love how I'm included in these questions, even though I'm, not even 20 yet, with not that much of experience to take these answers from. But from my perspective of a young actress and generally a person very interested in film and from a filmmaking family, the only thing that I can say for now is that I'm quite sorry that there is not more of strong female leads in films that we're producing now. But the thing is that I believe that it's also worldwide, because there is not that many strong female leads, except if they're very young and the most beautiful that they will ever be. There's that kind of moment of like being a ballerina or a football player, since when your youth starts to disappear, also your career starts to take these smaller parts and all of these things, yet men age gracefully in film. So I would love to see more films about middle-aged women, or even, very old women, because I think that it could be a very interesting perspective on this, unfortunately still a man's world. So that is it for me.
I want to ask you something. Could you tell us how you feel yourself and what you have done to have that position that male and female could listen to you and do what you want in your small films shooting? I mean, is it difficult to be women?
For people that are not my mother, who knows what she's talking about, I made a short film that I was directing because I'm very interested in actually becoming a film director instead of an actress. I mean, I'm always going to love it, but I would much rather make films. So while we were working on this short film, I realized, all the different angles of these two professions and how profoundly different they are. And it's very responsible, this directing thing. You have to pay attention to a lot of things, and yet you have around, in this small shooting that we did, there was a crew of around maybe 10 of us, maybe nine. So there is around 9 people that you have to explain to calmly, and I think that maybe for me, while working with these people that are actually my friends and not yet somebody that are just profoundly colleagues, that the only thing that made nothing was very difficult, since these people already knew me, but it was important for me at that point to be very sure of everything that I wanted to ask them to do. I think that it's important to, if you're trying to be a female director, or I think director in general, or actually any profession, I think that you need to have your things that you're asking people from, you have to have very good explanations for them, because otherwise it's unfair. It's not fair to say to an actor, please go through this door this way, and then if they say why, if you haven't already explained, you say, well, because I'm the director. While I was younger and working with big directors, because I did have some small parts in some big movies with some big people, this was an answer that I got a couple of times, and I was very unsatisfied with it. I think it's very unfair, so I think you just have to know what you're doing, maybe even more as a woman than as a man.
Thank you. Maria. Good evening. Firstly, I have to say that I am television woman, and as a matter of fact, I can say that I am in media. So this occasion that we produced a film out of a 2-part TV serial is rare in my experience, but it happened to be a very good idea, because we presented our movie in various of our domestic festivals and some international festivals, like today in Stockholm. And about those gender inequality issue, if I told you that men and women are equal in Serbia, would you believe me? I think that this is the point. And I can also tell you a funny story from my life. When my son asked me which job he should choose in order to be successful in his life, I told him that he has already succeeded because he was born as a man in Serbia. And he told me, I know, Mom, I know, I know, but help me. And this gender inequality issue in Serbia and in Balkans is the same question like in all the other parts of the world. but we have some specificity, I can say. We were raised in the country called former Yugoslavia, so our teachers taught us that we are equal, boys and girls, and they taught us that girls can choose whatever profession they want. They taught us that we can be, whether we want to be ballerinas, professors, pilots, women soldiers, or even TV producers. So I can say that this fact that we have this socialist or so-called communist heritage is made us a little bit more equal with men. And I have, of course, my working experience. I work for Radio Television of Serbia, and the fact that I'm a woman producer is nothing unusual in Radio Television of Serbia. Before, mostly men worked as producers, maybe 30 or 40 years ago, and now we have women in very high positions in our broadcast corporation. So I can say for the first time this year, we have a woman director of the whole production in television. We have deputy general director woman, as well as technical director. So it's the things are getting better. The position of women has changed during the time. And of course, this is my own working experience, working as a television woman in Radio Television of Serbia. And when it comes to this gender equality issue, we have to do much more.
Well, it's obvious. Okay, something which actually how we take this story right now, the leading role in this movie from jury part took award yesterday. Main actress and even Gorica Popovic, which is Into the Wood, movie which wrote Vladislava and Milica played in that. It's something which is very interesting that, how can I say, making this role are important, and narration that they are observing or putting in focus women in like a narration is something which is very important. Do you think about that when you choose things on television, for example?
I thought this is the question for Vladislava. When we choose actors and when we choose
mostly the stories, history. I mean,
the stories.
Story,
I also have to say that the position of producer and editor in our television are different than in Western countries. So the producers have the task to ensure the budget and organize the film production or organize TV show production, to worry about monitoring of the cash flow, to organize, to make all the contracts negotiations and to hire actors, but not always to choose the story. Editors choose the story, and we are kind of a help to the creators. But in this way, the times are changing a bit. Because we have situations that producers come to an idea, find the funds and find the budget, and then it's they have this freedom to choose the crew and to choose the director and so. But it's not usual. Mm-hmm. It's not usual.
Vladislav, your narration has very focus on one lady in some kind of age. Why just story about Stoyanka?
Because I'm split personality. So I'm at the same time a scriptwriter and producer. So as a producer, who knows what I would like to produce, but that another part of me, that scriptwriter, decided to write about that strange thing that in our country we had that reward poster in the hall of the court in my small town where I was born. So when I saw that poster, I really was like those Estrada stars says, I was shocked. But I really was shocked because I never saw that anywhere except in Western movies. So that was enough inspiration.
Okay, and we have 2 books that you have with you, which we
have it behind us.
If somebody is interested, we have
one is that book, that novel on what Out of the Woods was shot, and this is another one about novel for children with the main character, a girl, 6 years old girl who is learning how to write and read Serbian alphabet Cyrillic.
Good. Do we have some questions from audience? Since we have not so often opportunity to have this type of guests in Sweden, and that's why this festival is a little bit different than everything else. We are not inviting just any actresses, even producers, screenwriter, and people decision makers.
Actors, not just actresses, you know.
Yeah. Hmm?
I was actually thinking when Vladislav was talking about like female doing job like right way or like how to say according to the rules, and that's actually what I think is the most problem, because world is made to be male way, to make good jobs in pubs and to know people, as like Vjekoslav called the Ministry of Culture or whoever he was to. I mean, how, or do you have an idea, being in that world, how to make the world function, as you say, female way or whatever, according to the rules way, not like knowing people and making connections and coming in just because you, know somebody or something. Like, how can we choose? Go do it according to the rules.
I think that with pubs is fine, but the trouble is with stealing money. The trouble is when I promise to actors one price of their work, and then I said, sorry, I don't have it. Or even worse, I said, okay, call me tomorrow, or then I changed the mobile number. I mean, I'm talking about people who makes scenography, I mean, art direction of some object, and then immediately after shooting they ruined everything, so no one could tell how much money is spent on that, and then that money is going somewhere else, not in the film. I mean, this is not something what happens only in Serbia. That happens to all film productions all the time. I mean, Clint Eastwood made his producing house Malpaso production because he said that he saw how money disappears and said, okay, I'm going to do that for less money and better. And as well, the little bit vulgar story is about my friend, director Milutin Petrovic, who passed his examen and entered the Faculty of Drama Art in Belgrade and came home totally happy, I mean, delighted, and said to parents, now I'm going to be film director. And father said, bravo, my son, and mother started crying and said, oh, my son, you will be rest of your life among all about you would be a whores and criminals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Things that it is partly norms, as I can understand, that we probably cannot easally change, and something which is also the funds sharing is something which is actually key. I think talking about stealing, it's okay, but I feel somehow sometimes that funds, when we have a month of investment in a movie, could be shared in not equal way, and I think that the things could be there somewhere. Just to open this little bit box. Thank you so much. We must wrap here because next movie is waiting for us. Short break. We are a bit nervous here, some of us, to see the next movie. See you soon in cinema, starting in the last projection. Thank you.
Laguna, the other publisher, made another edition of the same book. So this is that first edition because I like that design a little bit more. My friend Katerina Stojic tried to do that, and she is a wonderful painter. Okay, then after that, designer from publishing house Dereta tried to do something else, so this is a mishmash, but I like Katerina and I like myself when I was 15 on that picture. There is nothing about broken mirror in a book. This is Laguna's designer. So, you know, whenever you work on something, there's somebody is smarter than you and somebody, you don't have enough time to argue, and then books looks like that. But there is a book which looks fabulous. This is a book for children, and it is last year published and received two, I think maybe the biggest awards for children's literature in Serbia. And that guy who did illustration, Luka Tillinger, he is really somebody who is so talented and so fresh and so nice that everybody has to adore him. And my editor, knowing me as a person who can be sometimes tough with those designers, he avoided to introduce me and Luka Tillinger before everything was done. Then, because he was in a fear that maybe poor Luka, a young guy, could have troubles with me. But I was really just satisfied. I mean, only satisfied and very satisfied. I think he is great. I mean, you can see why I'm thinking like that. I mean, you can compare, okay, this is for children, and this is for adult people, but as well this is bad and this is good design. I mean, you have to be brain surgery master to know that. Yeah.
Okay, good. But how do you react when you don't agree with this? I mean, since I know that it's a big publisher and there's not so many speak with them about some things.
Yeah, there wasn't much speak with them, and then everything finished with the lawyer. So I bought all my books from them because they start to print new and new books on the same edition. It is written 1,000, and they sold something like more than 3,000, telling me, no, this is the same edition. And all the time people call me on the phone and tell me there is no books to buy. So then I said, okay, now what do you have any of my books? Yes, okay, give me all. I'll buy. And if you find one in your bookshop, then I'll sue you. So they stopped and Laguna made another edition.
Okay. And this is then it's your one copy.
No, that is I bought. I bought to save myself from that slavery to the unfair publisher.
Okay. And how is the book Laguna selling as regular?
Laguna is the biggest publisher in Serbia, and they are serious, and they in every 4 times in a year they send you how many books they sold, and your percentage, and they said we sold everything, now this is contract for another edition, etc. So they are absolutely normal. I have just a great experience with them, not only with that another edition, but with my fabulous book for children, The Perfect Prince.
Okay, and the first one, I mean, this is who publisher here?
Službeni glasnik.
Okay, good.
Službeni glasnik is a government, I mean, kako se kaže, državni izdavač. State publisher. And yeah, they are a little bit slow and they're a little bit poor. But I'm satisfied with that because of Luca Tellinger and because of those awards and because I wrote that book, because that is order book. That book they rang me and asked me if I want to make a novel for children, and I said almost no, because my daughter is now not anymore a small girl. So I told that I will stop to write for children, because children are not some special target of my literature interest. But when they said, okay, you have that 2 books before that, should you? I said, okay. That was Goran Petrović. Goran Petrović is a wonderful writer and a wonderful editor. And because of him, and I don't know, so I said yes, and I did it. And a lot of juries like that, and yeah, some.
I mean, okay, shall we start with the first adults, and then can we go over to... well, because usually when you wrote this, first was a book and then came a film, isn't it?
No, first was something like storyline. I went to some residential program in Split, Traduki program for writers and translators, and there I started to write that storyline. I mean, just a story with all acting from that. I had the idea for script, in fact.
But why she? Why this history? Why?
Hold for a second, I'll explain it. So I first done that storyline, and then I wrote the book, because I thought that no one will give me money for making the film. Then that development of script, this is a special fund in Film Center of Belgrade. They gave me money, just small money, to develop the script. So I did nothing, because no one never asked to read what you wrote on that. But suddenly they, from Ministry of Culture, sent me a mail and said that they expect full script in 7 days. I said, after a year, of course, I had enough time to do that, but I didn't. So I said, okay, and then I sat and I ruined the novel, making of novel, that script. So I did that to them. Of course, no one ever read that. But then I started thinking that script could be better, so I started to correct it, and then we tried a competition of Film Center, and they gave us money to make film. So no one can tell what is older, I mean, hen or egg. In the same time, I made both of those things, film and novel, yeah. And Stoyanka.
Why this story?
Because that was the summer. I mean, I wrote book before our war crimes was arrested.